Hey guys, what is up? Yes, you see the thing down there? We are talking as I try to get things situated here. Hold on. So you guys can view this. I'm going to share this, of course, across the board. Let's see. Where is the share button? There is the share button. Okay. There we go. Copy TO. There we go. But yeah, welcome guys to this video where it is a live reply to a video that Doug did. Now, you will get a YouTube video of this later on, and maybe even a VENMO and a Spotify video of this as well. So you guys can check it out in those areas if you don't check it out now. But I wanted to come on here basically because, like I said, I want to do this reply to Doug Walker's video. Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, yesterday did a video where he talked about the whole, I guess you could say, Pepe Le Pew situation. He was talking about the whole Pepe Le Pew's controversy, if you will. And what Doug did in that video, he basically he basically came out and said, "Look, I get why you basically don't like the character. I understand that. I get it. Because what he stands for and everything is, not, like, I guess you could say on the up and up, if you will. But yeah, he kind of did a video where he, like I said, he talked about this. And it's really interesting because he said there's something that we probably are overlooking. And what we're overlooking basically is the fact that, as kids, we find it funny. We find it funny, haha, laughing and all that. But as grown-ups, what we're overlooking is that Pepe is actually delusional, is what he is. And what I mean by delusional is he's a character that, back, and I know it's digging like real far and everything, if you will, but he's a character, that basically, doesn't understand what he's doing. Like, he believes, oh, cool, here's this girl, this female skunk, and everything. But yet he doesn't understand, my stench, my scent that makes me me, is causing her to leave. It's causing her to leave, if you will. So what Doug pointed out is Pepe, in contrast, is delusional. He doesn't see what he's doing as wrong. He gets this impression of, oh, she just wants to basically be pursued, and that's not true. That's not true whatsoever. It's mainly because of the fact that she doesn't want to be pursued. She's trying to basically avoid him as much as she can. But what's interesting, though, is there are several cartoons, and Doug brought this up as well. There are several cartoons, out there, Pepe Le Pew, where basically he gets his comeuppance. Basically, Penelope, that's her name, starts pursuing him. Or there's a situation to where she wants to be with him because basically, he's the only one that would be willing to accept her, for who she is. But but she can't be with him because of that stench. And the cartoon I'm actually talking about or referencing to is Really Scent. Now, all the other cartoons are very formulaic, if you will, in their presentation. A little bit different here and there, but mainly formulaic, if you will. Easy for me to say, formulaic. You know, they're kind of basically the same thing over and over, with a few differences here and there. Like at the end of, I think, the cartoon Past Performance, if you will, Penelope jumps, you know, from a height into a barrel of water, and the water washes off her stripe. Pepe notices this, realizes she's not a skunk, but he still wants to be with her. So he basically says, okay, you can beat him, join him, and he paints over his stripe to become a cat, to be with her, and everything. So he's willing to go out of his way and say, hey, I'll do this for her just so we can be together, and everything. And he does. He does that. And in Really Scent, if you will, you know, he does the same thing. You know, he does something similar. When he finds out why everybody is saying Pew, when he finds out why, you know, Penelope, going by the name of Farberette in here, is running away from him, you know, what does he do? He doesn't get depressed and everything and wants to attempt suicide like Penelope wants to do, you know, towards the end of the cartoon. No. What does she want to do? Oh, what's he want to do? He sees a deodorant factory, and says, for her, I shall make myself dainty. And pew! Right into a deodorizing room. Penelope gets told by the narrator, hey, you can't beat him, join him. And what does Penelope do as Farberette? She goes to a Limburger cheese factory to get a stench. So both of them have the same idea because they want to be with each other. You know, they want to be with each other. They want to do what they can to be with one another. And, you know, and to me, I get what, you know, Doug is saying. You know, nobody seems to notice that. Nobody seems to realize there are cartoons out there, Looney Tune cartoons, with Pepe in there, to where he is basically, you know, going out of his way. He is going out of his way to make himself, you know, to make himself presentable. Like let me kind of correct myself here. What people don't understand, what I'm trying to say is, what people don't understand is, and they're overlooking, is Pepe wants to be with this girl, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to be with her. He's willing to shower her with gifts and all that. Yes, I will admit that the way he pursues her does not fly nowadays. It shouldn't even flown back then when these cartoons came out. But I get what's going on here. I see what's happening here, if you will. You know, he's willing to do whatever it takes to be with her, not realizing that, you know, the only way he's going to be with her is to get rid of his stench. And that's it. Because honestly, let's look at it this way. Some of these cartoons do indicate that Penelope finds him attractive. There's that one cartoon where she sneaks aboard a cruise ship, and she crawls under a ladder, if you will, a freshly painted ladder, and she gets her white stripe. So she goes under there and gets onto the cruise ship. She basically causes the entire cruise ship to abandon ship kind of deal, but, you know, not just, you know, the crew, but also the passengers and everything, to abandon ship, Le Pew kind of deal, because they mistake her for a skunk, you know, and everything. You know, they're mistaking her for a skunk. Now, you know, not realizing she's not a skunk. You know, she's not. That in fact, she's actually, you know, a cat that, you know, just has a white stripe down her back. You know, that's about it. That's all she has, is a white stripe down her back, and they don't know that. So what happens? the moment Pepe sees her, he's walking along saying bon voyage to the cruise ship, and not even thinking about going on it until he kind of spies with his little eyes, Penelope, and then he looks and he sees her. And then, of course, like I said, in typical Pepe Le Pew fashion, he pursues after her and everything. And when he's underwater, what happens? He comes back up. He's all wet and everything. Penelope sees him, but does she run from him? No, she doesn't. She instead does the le meow, le row row kind of deal. She actually comes on to him a little bit. And to me, even though, again, we go into the typical, what is it, formulaic, chase, if you will, pursuemanship, if you will. She's the first one. She's the first to do the row to him. All he does is just, look, sees that, oh, it's a female skunk. I'm going to go after her and everything. Perfect setting. Cruise ship, perfect setting. But he doesn't do the row to her. She does it to him. So the point I'm getting at, the point I'm getting at anyway, is, she does find him attractive. The only thing that's keeping her away is his stench. That's what's keeping him away. Or keeping her away. That is what's keeping, her away from being with him. But, what's interesting, though, and this is just me, this is just my opinion. What's interesting is, the fact that, you look at some of these pictures down here, like this picture in the middle, with Pepe and Penelope looking at each other. This picture on the upper right hand corner. These GIFs right here from Bah Humduck and the AT&T commercial. And obviously this shows that these two ended up together. Like, Warner Brothers said, okay, we're going to put them together, end the story, because that's what fans want. And that's what they did. They put them together because that's what fans wanted. Fans, did not want to see them always have to go through the whole same, rinse and repeat situation. They wanted some kind of resolution, and they got it. They got it. And that's why you see sometimes like official, kind of licensed official artwork here and here, as well as some fan art, if you will, of them together, because fans want to see them together. They don't want to see them apart. They don't want to see them canceled. They want to see them together. And what's interesting is they find creative ways to give Penelope her stripe. Like, she'll just basically have it, and that's it. She'll just basically have it, and that's it. End of story. But again, the point I'm alluding at, the point I'm trying to get at here, is fans want these two to be an item. That's what they want. They don't want to see them, apart and everything. I mean, there is I don't know if this is legit, but it seems like it is. There is I guess you could say, a work in progress animation, an animatic, if you will, from what was going to be a proposed Pepe Le Pew film. Animated film, I'm assuming, a live action, whatever it was. Live action, animated hybrid, I don't know. But there was a scene out there where both of them do talk and everything, and she's very tolerant of him. Like, you obviously could tell that, you can obviously tell where this movie was heading with them, had it gone through. Like, basically, these two were going to end up an item. And I think that's why, when you look at, what goes on in Bah Humduck, when you see what goes on at the end of the Christmas episode special of the Looney Tunes show, what you see go on here with the AT&T special, you can kind of tell that the goal was to put these two officially together, and that was it. Nothing else. Nothing else. So, I don't to me, I don't understand, why people don't see that. Why people don't understand that Warner Brothers was going to put these two together. They might have even planned to have them together in Space Jam: A New Legacy. But because somebody decided to say, hey, Pepe Le Pew, he should not be here. He is, he's a bad representation, of how to pursue a woman or be with a woman, get rid of him. And, lo and behold, out the window he went. And what's crazy is what's crazy is this became news. It did. It became news. And why did it become news? Because even some of the news outlets are like, seriously? We're doing a story where Pepe Le Pew gets canceled all because some people feel he's not right for television. Or he's not right, for this or that. It's like, are we serious? It's like, how ridiculous can you get? It's like, how ridiculous can you get? And that's pretty much what it is. It's like, how stupid can anybody be? It's like, okay, we get why you don't want Pepe around. We get that and everything. We understand that. But it's like, he's a cartoon character. He's a cartoon character, and yes, what he did in the original cartoons would not fly today, but the thing is, it's comedy. It's comedy because that's not how things work, but you get a laugh out of it. You get a laugh, you get a giggle out of it, of how, basically how far Pepe's willing to go to be with her, and how far she's willing to go to get away from him, or in some cases, like the really sent short, how far she's willing, how both are, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me get some Coca-Cola here. How far both, I should say, are willing to go to be with each other and everything. It's like, you see that. You see that and you find that adorable, you find that cute. But you can also understand, the rinse and repeat that's been going on. You can understand that and everything. You can understand that and all that. So, again, I get where people are coming from. I do. I really do. I get where people are coming from. No joke. I actually get where they're coming from. When they, decided, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy. We got to cancel him. We got to remove him. Put him in cold storage, if you will, for a while and everything. I get that. I get that. I really do. But again, I think what Doug said in his video kind of makes sense. It's like people are not realizing, they're not realizing that the way, as a grown-up you could see this maybe, that Pepe is delusional. He doesn't understand that, who he's pursuing, doesn't want to be with him, not because she's playing hard to get, but mainly because of the fact that he's a skunk. And even if she did find him attractive and wanted to be with him, which we see later on, she doesn't want to deal with the stench. I mean, the AT&T commercial, if you will, and I'm just trying to kill a fly there, or a little gnat, if you will. The AT&T commercial, if you will, kind of presents him in a long-distance relationship. And she's willingly painting the stripe down her back, to make herself into a skunk to be with him, but they're in a long-distance deal because of his stench. And you kind of get the idea, like, yeah, they do, come together at times, but they find unique ways of doing it, if you know what I mean. So it's So yeah, it's one of those, situations to where it's like, to where you can understand where she's coming from, but then you see they end up together later on, and it's like, what's the reasoning? What's the issue? Did you not see, the cartoons or the little animations they did, that put them together? Did you not see that? Because I'll tell you this right now. I was actually glad that they did these things in Ball Humbug at the end of the Christmas episode for the Looney Tunes show with the AT&T commercial. I'm glad they did this. Heck, looking at that little animatic short that they had planned, that was, a representation of giving us an idea of what the Pepe Le Pew movie was going to be. I like the idea that it does basically show you that, they might be opposites attract, but they'll be the opposites attract that end up together. So, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that and everything. I'm cool with that and everything. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm not the only one or anything. So, to me, like I said, I get where people are coming from with it. I understand, the stance on it. I really do. But it's like, come on, this is a cartoon. And, here's the thing. Cartoons, even like Looney Tunes, classic Looney Tunes, are not just meant for adults. Because we do know historically that Warner Brothers and their team, mostly Tex Avery and others, Chuck Jones and all them, Friz Fraley, they wanted to make cartoons for adults, to enjoy more than kids. But at the end of the day, these are cartoons that kids will watch and laugh at and enjoy. They will. And to me, it's like they're not going to understand, or give two frigs, if you will, of, Pepe doing, doing something wrong when it comes to chasing Penelope. Instead, they'll laugh about it. They'll get a giggle out of it. Because they don't care. It's a cartoon. It's going to make them laugh. It's going to entertain them. And if they do have questions, and the parents could be like, yeah, what he's doing, never do that to the opposite sex. Or to a boy or girl. Never do that. Never pursue them without the consent. Or something like that. Parents can explain to them. But at the end of the day, kids don't really mind. They don't really care, if you will. They don't really care. Because, it's a cartoon. And us growing up, throughout, the past 40, 50, 60, 70 years, we all understand that. We see that. We get that. We see, we get that. We understand that this is a cartoon. It's not to be taken seriously. But as adults, we understand in today's day and age, cartoon characters like Pepe can't be just, running around anymore. He can't be. I mean, yeah, Warner Brothers is going to have his cartoons up and everything for a while. Don't get me wrong. They're going to have his cartoons up for some time. As my computer is loading here. I don't know what it's loading. But yeah, they're going to have his... cartoons up for a long time. They just can't do any more with them. Or so they say. Because here's the thing. We always think that, something is never going to make a comeback or never get another chance. And what does history tell us? What does history tell us? What you think's not going to happen, happens. Or what you think will never get another opportunity, gets an opportunity. And to me, Pepe Le Pew's character is going to get another opportunity. There is no denying that. People can basically, argue and debate of whether or not he should have been canceled or not. At the end of the day, we know he's going to come back. I mean, you have freaking Fifi Le Pew, a Tiny Toon character from the original Tiny Toon series and the new Looniversity series that's coming out. You have Fifi Le Pew, if you will, based off him. How are you going to explain a female skunk based on an existing Looney Tune when that Looney Tune's not around anymore? How are you going to explain that? You can't. So to me, he's going to make a return. And what they might do is tone him down to where, yeah, he might get attracted to Penelope, but he's not going to pursue her like he used to. Instead, he'll try to figure out, okay, how do I be with her without maybe offending her because of who I am, and everything. That's what I think is going to happen, And again, people can argue and debate whether or not it will happen, but I've got a feeling it will. And also, when it comes to Penelope, how are you going to explain her? And her having a white stripe down her back. What's the reasoning for it? Huh? What's the reasoning for it? Is it because she just likes it? Is it because she was born with it? Or are you now going to make her the female skunk of Looney Tunes? Basically make her the skunk. Thus you have a reasoning to say, yeah, Fifi, this version of Fifi in Looniversity is based off Penelope. Is that going to be the answer? Is that going to be what you do? Well, because if it is, then fine. You found a way around it, but to me, I do not see Pepe being gone for long. I don't. I see them bringing him back, reworking him into the role, reworking him back into the Looney Tunes crew, but doing it in a way to where he's not, so pursuing. Like, again, as I mentioned, he'll get attracted, but then he'll realize, okay, how do I be with her without offending her? If you know what I mean. So, to me, I think he's going to be back. There's no doubt about it. Because, again, like Doug Walker mentioned in his video, the original Pepe was delusional. Thinking, oh, she's running because she wants to be pursued. She's running because she wants to put on her face and then recommence with the wooing and stuff like that. No, that's not the case. What it is at the end of the day is she either wants to be with him but doesn't want the stench, or she doesn't want to be with him, period, because he's not getting it. He doesn't understand that, she's not a skunk. She's not a skunk. She's a cat. And what's interesting about this, just a little side note, the Looney Tunes comics, and I have some of these, that feature her and Pepe in stories, she actually not only talks, but she tells Pepe, I am not a skunk. I am a cat. I am a cat. And he's willing to accept that. Now, true, sometimes the running gag at the end is he'll be willing to accept that, but still try to win her over, and she'll be like, what are you going to do? Might as well just go with it, or something like that. So there is a bit more leeway there in understanding and kind of balancing out. But like I said, going back to the past performance short from the 1950s, 60s, when at the end she jumps into that water and the paint washes off, Pepe comes to that conclusion, oh, she's not a skunk at all, she's a cat. So what does he do? Instead of just giving up being like, oh, well, I'm just going to go back home. No, what's he do? He paints his white stripe black so he can blend in and be a cat himself and be with her. It's like, again, it's like you can kind of, you can kind of understand, accept, and, be all for why he's being canceled and why he shouldn't be around, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, here's a character. If you basically take a lot of that negativity away, if you will, if you take a lot of that negativity away, here's a character that is willing to do whatever it takes to be what he considers the love of his life. He's willing to do whatever it takes. He's willing to paint, over his white stripe, turn himself into a cat, by doing so. Or he's willing to make himself dainty and thus get rid of his smell to be with her. While she, on the other hand, Penelope Favorette, if you will, gains a smell through a Limburger factory. But it's just one of those, to me, it's just one of those interesting situations that, when you look back on it, again, without a shadow of a doubt, Pepe Le Pew is going to be back. He's going to make a return. He's going to come back probably a little different than what he was. A little familiar, but different. And this whole cancel Pepe thing is going to be completely forgotten. It is. Because again, you take a look at the upper right-hand image. You take a look at the two GIFs at the bottom left and bottom right, and you can see that they clearly wanted to put these two together, and they did. And to me, this is a good indication. A good indication. Also, you look in the middle, and at that picture in the middle of the screen, you look at this, and you see, along with the animatic that's on YouTube here, if that is indeed real, of them, of them being in a car being chased and everything, and them talking, you can kind of tell that they already had plans to put them together at the end of the film, which is why they basically put these moments together, I think, in the Looney Tunes show, Bah Humduck, and the AT&T commercial. Because they already had plans to put them together, make them an official item. Just like Space Jam, the first movie, made Bugs and Lola an item. Just like the Looney Tunes show made Daffy Duck and Tina Russo Duck an item. Just like the Looney Tunes show, right now, the new one, has made, or has basically brought back together, and it was the Looney Tunes show as well, the Looney Tunes show, and as well as the newer Looney Tunes shorts, brought back and put back together Petunia and Porky. It's, it's like you can't just, listen to this, sit down, and be like, oh, they were never going to put them together or anything. It was just, because he's canceled or anything. They never had plans and all that or whatever. You can debate that all you want, but when you look at all the substantial evidence that's out there, there is no doubt, in my opinion, they were planning to put them together officially at the end of that proposed Pepe Le Pew movie, and that's why, again, we get these GIFs at the end, or at the bottom of the screen here, in the image in the middle. That, to me, is too much evidence that Warner Brothers were going to put these two together at the end of the day. So to me, again, I agree with what Doug said. If you look closely as an adult now that grew up on these, you'll realize that the reason Pepe acts the way he does towards Penelope and pursues her is because he's delusional. He's delusional in believing she wants to be caught. She wants to be pursued, but that's not the truth. And everything. So, so he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it because he's too blinded to the fact. He's too delusionally blinded to that fact. So I do agree with Doug there. And again, I also agree that, yes, what Pepe did, his running gag in these shorts back then, it would not fly today and would not be appropriate in today's standards. So I can understand why they would want to cancel him. I get it. I really do. But to me though, I think when it's all said and done, his character is coming back. It is, in my opinion. His character is coming back. Whether anybody wants to admit that or not, his character is coming back. And and again, I believe it's going to come back in a way that basically, kind of makes him familiar in personality to the way we've known him, but also different. And that difference being like, he'll get attracted to Penelope, but then be like, well, I don't want to offend. How do I be with her without offending? And you can do a whole series of animated shorts, with that, in that kind of scenario. But to me, I look at this whole Pepe Le Pew, council situation, and just like all the news outlets that reported this, Fox News, CBS, whatever, I find it just stupid, in the membrane, if you will. It's like, we get it, we understand it, but seriously, at the end of the day, this is a cartoon, and these are fictional characters that you don't need to take seriously. And yes, it is a cartoon aimed more for older audiences, but mostly for kids. And if those young kids are watching, they're not going to be like, ooh, what he's doing is wrong. No. They're going to laugh. They're going to get a chuckle out of it. So to me, I think what we need to really sit down and realize, here is, the whole cancel Pepe thing was dumb. It's still dumb. And I think with all the changing of the guard and everything going on at Warner Bros. Discovery, I feel Pepe Le Pew will make a return. And he'll make a return in a way that, like I mentioned, will make him seem familiar but different. Anyway, though, guys, that's just all I want to say here in my reply to Doug Walker's video. Let me know what your thoughts are. You will get a video and maybe later on audio podcast of this at my B.W. Roses Discussions podcast, which you can find on Spotify, as well as your other favorite podcast affiliates, but mostly on Spotify. That helps me out in a big, big way. Again, guys, I am doing this with Twitch and VENMO and Spotify as well, Spotify, Anchor, podcasting, video-wise, because right now I am suspended, kind of grounded from uploading, posting, and live streaming because of a link to one of my more adult stories that I created on DeviantArt, featuring Tails and his mom, Rosemary, really getting it on. But anyway, that's all. But anyway, besides that, just wanted to, like I said, do this little video here. Give me your thoughts overall, guys. Love to hear from each and every one of you. And until next time, I will talk to you all later.